I'm trying something a little bit different today. I haven't shaved in a few days, obviously, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my phone being strapped to my vanity mirror, so I don't have to worry about even holding the phone while I'm doing these stories. And speaking of the story I'm going to tell you today, I'm telling this one because I'm actually driving to Modesto right now to go visit my grandma. It's about a 5-hour drive, but I haven't seen her in 4 years because she lives in Indiana. And I used to go to Indiana almost every year, if not at least every other year, but money and time and so forth not really being, in wide availability have kind of made that hard to do. So anyways, the story I'm going to tell you isn't like a near-death one or a super-duper epic one, but I wanted to tell it to you because it was something funny that happened to me when I was about 16 or 15 years old. And let me preface this by saying that my grandma owns a few really, really old arcade machines. Like, she has a pole position machine, a really old pinball machine. It's called Mystic if you want to look it up. It always freaked me out as a kid. I got to tell a story about that sometime too. And a Mrs. Pac-Man machine. But most notably, what I'm going to talk about today is the Defender table machine that she had. She had a Defender arcade machine, but in the table format, where it's just a flat table. And so you could open that up, much like all of the other arcade machines there, and you could press the, buttons on it to mess with the machine settings. And I forget what that's called, the service button, something like that. And so Defender, being, a really old game, we're talking like 1980s here, was kind of like cryptic in what the buttons actually did. But I used to have a lot of fun as a kid, where I'd open it up, and I just press the random buttons and get really weird results. Like, all of a sudden I have 99 lives and there'd be 1,000 enemies on the screen. Or I would press it and there would be infinite bombs. Or it'd be some weird level with nothing but homing missiles coming at me. It just really fucked with the game code, and I'm not really sure how or why. But as I got older, I kind of figured out a little bit of what was going on with it and stuff like that. But then I stopped going as often to Indiana, and so, I didn't really get a chance to try any of it. But anyways, the whole point of the story is, I had the machine open, and since it's a tabletop machine, you open it by grabbing one edge of it and then propping it open, much like you would a table. It's like a table, you prop it open on the side and stuff like that, like you would a cooler or something like that. So anyways, the table lid itself, the lid to the machine, weighs at least 15 or 20 pounds. I mean, it's really heavy. You have to use some significant effort to get that thing up and propped up, which is why there's these little guard mechanisms, and when you prop it up, it locks in place. Again, similar to how a table might, or a cooler or something like that, to keep it locked in place. And so my two cousins were there visiting, and they had the table open, and they were about my age, so it's not like they were, had no idea how to hold it open or something like that. But I asked them to hold it open because the latches weren't working correctly on it. And so I was looking at the buttons from the machine and facing it as if I was going to sit down and play on it. So I was looking at it from the direction of the joysticks being right in front of me. Now the lid opens on the right of the machine, and it locks in place with this gigantic silver blade. It's not sharp like a blade, but it is thin. It is rather thin, probably about as thin as a slightly thicker butter knife or something like that, it's about as thick as a butter knife on the end you don't cut with, on the side you don't cut with. That's about how thick it was. So again, this whole thing weighs about 20-25 pounds, and they were holding it open while I was messing with some buttons or whatever else. And if I remember right, my grandma called for us to go get something to eat. She wanted us to, eat whatever she made and stuff like that. And so my cousins, not really thinking about it, just ran into the kitchen to go get the food, because my grandma makes really good food. And let me tell you, Indiana food, it's just bizarre how much better Indiana food tastes. I don't eat McDonald's when I'm anywhere, but the only two places I'll eat McDonald's will be Indiana and Japan, because it tastes exponentially better in both of those places than it does anywhere else I've ever had it. Which is why I haven't ate McDonald's outside of those two places in about 8 years now. No joke. I have not ate it. The only two places I've let myself eat would be Indiana and Japan. In Indiana, the McDonald's cheeseburgers are 2 to 3 times bigger than they are in California. I don't know why this is. I'm going to guess it's just because the resources there are more plentiful, but they are, and they taste infinitely better. So much better. But anyways, back to the point. my cousins run in there, and they don't, you know, they're not there to hold up the lid anymore. So when they run out, the lid swings back down, and I had my arm resting like an idiot where the blade locks into place because there's nowhere else to rest it because the blade's so long. It's the entire length of the machine. So that thing falls down 25 pounds of a flat blade just onto my arm, like lengthwise, right down the middle of it. And I freaked the fuck out because I thought I just literally got my arm chopped in half or something like that, you know, or at least like cut right down the middle. And I ripped the thing off with like, you know, adrenaline strength and shit like that. Not literally rip the lid off, but, you know, like pull it off and stuff like that. And I run into the kitchen thinking there's going to be blood flowing everywhere, and I'm fucking screaming, and there's nothing. There's no cut, there's no blood, there's no blunt force trauma, there's no even bruising. And I don't know how to this day how I didn't have any injury from that at all. My arm didn't even ache. And so I was just flabbergasted at that. But there's a little story involving my grandma's house and stuff like that. Sometime I'll have to tell you guys about the Mystic pinball machine, as well as the time a tornado hit and knocked a bunch of stuff in the swimming pool and all this other crazy stuff that's went on there. So yeah, that is about it. And press that and go shoot to it. Oh, also again, as a quick reminder, I am streaming from August 2nd to August 4th. If you want more information about that, just check the video that's in my past few videos I posted up a few days ago. And if you haven't already checked it out, I have to plug my webcomic, just, you know, for the hell of it. So just look up eraoferrors.com. It'll also be in the info. And that is about it. And I will probably post a few more videos today as I drive to Modesto. So yeah.